And we're back. Plywood is a series of thin layers of wood veneer that are glued together at right angles. So they're glued back and forth, and that strong bond resists shrinking and warping, and it's just a really good underlayment for like floors and houses. Concrete is a mixture of gravel, sand, water, and Portland cement. Concrete and cement are not words that can be used interchangeably. And I know a lot of people do. And it's actually, as I've taught more construction classes, it's actually a pet peeve of mine to call when people call concrete and cement the same thing. Um, there is limited strength in concrete unless it's specially prepared. There are some additives, and we can change the mixture a little bit to make it stronger, but it's still pretty limited. Reinforced concrete's where it's at, though. If you watch a foundation being poured or you watch certain sidewalks being poured, these steel bars will be embedded or laid down before the concrete's poured, and they're arranged in such a way that actually bears a greater structural load than the concrete by itself. So when it's important to have high tensile strength, or when it is important for strength, if you combine the high tensile strength of the steel and concrete's compressive strength, you really have a very strong product created. There's also such a thing called pre-stressed concrete, and it contains reinforcing bars that are stretched and bowed and arched before the concrete's poured over them. And when we're making pre-stressed concrete, it's already defined what load it's going to be able to hold. So compressive stresses that are caused by the high strength steel bars in concrete members before the loads are applied, it balances the tensile strength that's exposed or imposed in members during service. So this pre-stressed concrete allows roofs, floors, bridges, and walls to be constructed with longer unsupported spans. So you might hear in like design shows where they talk about, well, this is a load-bearing wall. Well, when we incorporate, pre-stressed concrete, if you think about larger buildings, you think about parking structures, you think about bridges, we don't have to have as many supports underneath it, but we don't sacrifice strength with that pre-stressed concrete. The first pre-stressed concrete structure in the United States was the Walnut Lane Memorial Bridge in Philadelphia, and that was constructed in 1951. And it just provides a lot of options and acoustical qualities. So we do see them. We do see pre-stressed concrete, shopping centers, school auditoriums, parking garages, big open areas. If you look around and you see concrete, in those types of buildings, it's probably pre-stressed concrete. Steel is an alloy mixture of iron and carbon. And when you add carbon, it increases the hardness and heat resistance of the material. Structural steel is recyclable, and reusable. It is an extremely sustainable construction product because we can melt it down and shape it into something new. It's a great product. Steel is actually the most recycled material in the world. Think about the junkyards and think about people who they haul scrap because it's worth so much. 97% of all steel is recyclable, and architects understand that benefit and continue to incorporate steel when they build skyscrapers. And skyscrapers started being built when steel was first available and its sustainability was recognized. One of the first skyscrapers was the 10-story home insurance building in Chicago. And it was the first tall building supported by steel columns and beams. So really revolutionary for, building in the cities. Another Chicago building that I've actually personally been inside of, and it's a popular attraction when you go to Chicago. It is the 12th tallest building in the world. And to build buildings that tall, you needed to make a structure to withstand wind and earthquakes. Extremely tall steel tubes with steel columns and beams concentrated in the perimeter.